marriage? Well, my uncle told me after he got married for the second time that marriage is a partnership, a business. And I don't think people think about marriage as a business. Now, it can't be totally business, but business needs to be taken care of, right? So here's the breakdown. Marriage is a business, and a business has responsibilities, and those businesses need to carry out those responsibilities. I like to use the analogy about basketball. Basketball game is a simple game in the grand scheme of things. Basketball, the objective, put the ball in the hoop and keep the other team from putting the ball in the hoop. That's the objective. It's that simple. But you got different coaches with different philosophies about how to most effectively get the outcome in their favor of putting the ball in the hoop more than other people so that they can get a win. Some coaches focus on defense. Let's put more of an effort of stopping a team from putting the ball in the basket. Let me give you a case in point. There's a great coach by the name of Tom Thibodeau, Chicago Bulls, and his philosophy is defense. He's known as a defensive guy. And even without Derrick Rose, who was an MVP, they may have struggled to get points, but they won games. They win 40, 50 games each year because of defense. And the old adage is defense wins championships. Now, they haven't won a championship, but no less, defense, his philosophy for winning. We're going to stop you from scoring baskets. And we'll get our baskets, heck, we'll create baskets from our defense by getting turnovers. Let me give you another philosophy, okay? There's a coach named Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is an offensive guru. Now, I know he's had his struggles recently, but during the days when he was in Phoenix, that was the most prolific, high-powered offense in the NBA. Their philosophy wasn't to play defense. Their philosophy was they're going to miss shots. We're just going to capitalize and we're going to make shots. And he wanted to have more possessions and he wanted the ball to be scored quicker. So there was one season where he had an average of 7 seconds per possession on the 24-second shot clock. So he produced a lot of points because he believed that if he could maximize the possessions, he could run everybody else out of the gym. And there were some times where a couple of things. I think San Antonio one year, there was a funny call, and it went against the Phoenix Suns, and they didn't go to the championship. But again, those two teams, they achieved a lot of success, but they both believe, the coaches believe in different philosophies. Now, you take a coach like a Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich, he finds a way to get good defense and good offense. He has one of the best defenses in the league, and he has one of the best offenses in the league. If you look at the championship game last year, he brutalized Miami. On defense, he plays solid, fundamental ball. And on offense, he just swung the ball around from side to side, made Miami's defense wear and tear, and in turn, it affected them when they got on offense. So I know I went off on a tangent because we're supposed to be talking about marriage, but I wanted you to give you the left side, the right side, and the happy medium. And that's what marriage is about. It's about, okay, your husband is the head of your house, doesn't necessarily mean that the head of the house roles and responsibilities are going to be indicative to what head of the house is. He's head of the house because he was born to be head of the house. That's his role. Doesn't matter if he's the one that is working a job or not. He's the head of the house. Just because a woman sits at home all day, or whether she's out there getting it in the money-making industry, it does not make her the one. That does not indicate whether she wears the pants or she wears the dress. Now, man and women, a husband and wife, they're not made to walk on top of each other. They're made to walk side by side. But the man is going to be responsible for his family. Now, so I want you to think about this deeply, but let's think about it in totality. All right. So there's money to be made. There's food to be eaten. There's clothes to be worn. There is a roof over the head that needs to be taken care of. There's other responsibilities that you can go into, okay? You can go into the different types of bills and daycares and soccer practices, basketball practices, ballet, dance recitals, whatever the case may be. You can go into all of that, but in essence, those things have to be taken care of. So the question here is, when you're married, who is responsible for taking care of those responsibilities? And it has to be a team effort, because a lot of times you'll have a new coach come in who has a great pedigree of being successful, and people might be surprised when one of its star players is cut. I'll give you an example. Deshaun Jackson. Now, there's speculations as to why he was cut. That's neither here nor there. The bottom line is, Deshaun Jackson and Coach Chip Kelly, who was notorious at Oregon for creating a prolific winning program, he has a philosophy. At the end of the day, the philosophy of Chip Kelly and Deshaun Jackson did not mesh. Whether it was a personality, a personal, a football issue, whatever. So he had to leave. Now, other teams benefited from Deshaun Jackson's services, as far as interest, and ultimately he went to the Redskins. And it may work out well for him there. He's a phenomenal player. But on a team, you need to have the right personnel with the right mindset to do the right things. That's it. It's not about how much talent you have. It's not about, because the race doesn't go to the swift. It's the one that is persistent. So in life, in marriage, you don't have to be the best looking. You don't have to have the best love making. You don't have to have the most money. You don't have to have none of that stuff that works in your favor. What you do have to have is you have to have a meshing point. You have to be able to mesh with your partner. And whatever your marriage entails, which all marriages entail, all marriages, you got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to have a place to stay, you got to have clothes on your back, and you got to have the responsibilities taken care of, and you got to have you got to have the money coming in. Whether you choose to break it up 50-50, whether you choose to do it 100-0, and it's never really 100-0, whether you're taking a supporting role, whether you're taking a lead role, or whether you're taking a shared role, or anything in between, you and your partner, to achieve success, have to have a meshing point in your relationship so that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in your marriage. Some people go to school while the other one work. That's fine. Some people have a traditional household where the man goes out there and work and the woman stays home. That's cool. Some people have it flipped. The man is the man is the stay at home, and the woman goes out and work. That's cool. Some people have, you work, I work. and we split everything down the middle. That's cool. But you have to be paired up with someone who meshes in that thought process. You cannot marry a woman and want her to be a housewife when she can't stand being at home and she wants to get out there and make money. No matter how sexy she is, fine, how good the sex is, how she looks good, how she looks on your shoulder, whatever the case may be. What she is accustomed to is what she is accustomed to. And you can't change her and you can't change him. They have to want to make the change. Now, granted, you might have somebody who's been working out in their field, doing their thing, running their business, or employed, or whatnot. And when they get married, they make a change. Well, that's fine if it's for their own reasons, because of what they want to do. But in marriage, you need to make sure that, and in anything, you need to have a mesh point, a point where you guys can agree. You don't have to agree for the same. You don't have to agree the same way, but you do have to agree. Case in point, Sarah and Abraham. Abraham believed that he was going to be a father to many nations and it was going to come from him. His wife couldn't see it that way, but she saw that the one he served was faithful to him, so she believed in that. So they believed differently, but ultimately they believed for the same thing. And that's what happens. Where two or more gathered, so is he. I hope this gets you to start thinking about that. Think about your relationships with people. Think about your relationship with your spouse. And understand there are roles to be done, things to be done, things to be taken care of. The question is, how are we coming together to figure out who's going to take care of what and at what frequency and rate?